Hello all, I am Insuffy, and I will be going over some basic info and tips on how to collect in the One Piece TCG. I've been collecting for over a year now. So what have I learned? Well, let's find out. There are currently, as of March 1st, 2026, 14 numbered sets, which are OP01 through OP14. In addition, we have special sets as well, such as EB01 through EB04. Noteworthy though that EB04 is split between two different boxes of OP14 and a soon to release OP15, which will be the second half. This will catch us up to the English with the Japanese release dates. There's also PRB1 and PRB2 sets, which are sort of like these special collection sets, which are really cool and add these gold dons as well. There's also promo cards, event cards, tournament cards that are not in any booster box. These range widely in value and can be harder to obtain in some serialized instances where they have very limited quantities, and cause the prices to go up like crazy on these special serialized cards. I'm not focusing on the tournament or the serialized cards or those other types of cards or promos, things like that, but today I'll be mostly focusing on booster boxes, what you can pull from them, and the different types of things that I want to go over today is going to be like the card rarities, the pull rates, what's worth collecting the most popular sets, what is better, sealed or singles, should you grade them or should you not grade them, and if you do grade them, with who, and then we'll do a quick little wrap up. I'm not going to spend a ton of time in each category, but I just want to give you a little bit of information in each area from what I've learned, kind of like the main points and highlights, just to hopefully make your life easier if you're looking to collect in the One Piece TCG. So to get into first, let's talk about the different types of rarities that are in cards, in case you're unfamiliar. Alternate arts as well can vary widely in prices. They can be very cheap or very valuable. The art, popularity of the character, rarity, and the overall price of the box will greatly influence these factors, and that tends to be a rule of thumb for any card value or set. A case comes with 12 booster boxes, and you'll see a case. I have a picture of one here. This is what a case looks like. So a case sealed that will have, 12 booster boxes in them in the English version. The Japanese does have different boxes and different sizing. I am going to focus mostly on the English. So on the English side of things, you are going to get 12 booster boxes in a case. And so with that being the case, each booster box will have 24 packs in each booster box. And for hits, a typical numbered booster box has 2 or 3 hits in each booster box. And a hit counts as something that is an alternate art, a secret rare, a treasure rare, a special rare, or a super special rare or manga. And I'll go into those in depth here later in the video. And to touch up really quick on alternate arts, there is alternate art leaders in each set, such as this alternate art Luffy and OP13. Alternate arts leaders can have some decent value depending on what they are, but they tend to be more driven by the player base. And then you also have just your regular alternate arts, aka parallels. Sometimes you'll see them named as parallels, or sometimes you'll see them as alternate art. It's really the same thing, but you have alternate arts, aka parallels. Those are just going to be like your regular cards. It's going to be an SR, a super rare with a star above it, and that is going to be your alternate art. So a regular alternate art card, may have some value to it. Typically, alternate arts don't have a ton of value long term. There is a few exceptions with some popular characters like Nami and things like that, but overall, most alternate arts just have some general little bit of value to them. And again, you're only going to get about 2 to 3 hits in a box, and it is possible that you only get 2 alternate arts, and as you can see, they could end up being just a couple $10 cards, $20 cards that don't have a ton of value, as most alternate arts don't have a ton of value. So something to consider. The secret rares, aka SEC, they tend to hold value to players unless it is a secret rare alternate art with a popular character, which will then drive up the value. OP05 SEC here, as you can see, this is an old set. This is a very popular set, $1,000 a booster box, and the SEC is only $12, even though it has Luffy and is a popular character. So this is an example how SECs, your secret rares, aren't really going to have usually a ton of value. However, when you're looking at the alternate art version of this SEC, you can see this is worth approximately about $150. So much more valuable because this art matches the art on the box and it's a little bit more of a popular artwork. So again, popularity, it's more popular. So therefore the pricing on this is much more expensive. So something to consider when looking at SECs. Typically an SEC normal isn't going to hold a lot of value unless it's really, really important to the player base. And then the alternate art version of those will usually yield a little bit more money. Treasure rares can be in a set if it has one, and if so, there's only one per case. Not every set has a treasure rare, but if they do have one, there's only going to be one. However, the North American treasure rares, mainly due to the art, do not seem to hold consistent value. Then you also have special rares. Special rares are even harder to get, aka an SP. There is only 2 per case, so kind of hard to get. Art tends to be more dramatic and detailed in these SPs, and a lot of them have raised art as well, so it makes it really unique and collectible. Given that some sets have numerous SPs in them, it can be very difficult to collect them all without great expense, right? So if there's only 2 per case, you can imagine this case, for example, being $5,700 US. It's going to be, and you're only getting 2, and let's say that set has 6 of them, it's going to be a lot of work to get all those SPs yourself. So you're really going to have to purchase them or trade them. Then you have as well, you know, your SSPs. I call them SSPs. They are going to be over here. So, you know, it's like your super SP. These are even rarer than an SP. They are in certain sets such as OP11 in this case, OP12, 13, and 14. They are not guaranteed in a case. And some people report that it takes an average of 4 to 7 cases to get a SSP. Most recently, I saw that for OP13 from some videos I watched on that. They're very rare and they hold high value. Mangas are not guaranteed in a case as well. And reports I'm seeing is about 2 to 5 cases seem to be the somewhat average for you to pull a manga card. You also have like your really crazy mangas, which OP09, as you can see here, I don't know, this is really the true price. I'm looking at this at March 1st. You know, recent sale here, $4,000 back in February 6th, which is crazy. I don't know how someone got that for 4K. But, you know, you'll see cards like this, like the mangas widely have a big net of pricing that they can have really, really high, or sometimes maybe, you know, just 1,000. And some mangas at one point in time were like $500-600, but mangas can vary a lot in pricing. So always double check to make sure if that's something you really want and look at it and see how the pricing has been holding on that manga, if that's something that interests you. It is noteworthy that every booster box that has a manga in it also has to have a secret rare. So keep that in mind when you're pulling cards. So what's worth collecting the most? And what are the most popular sets? Well, let's go over that a little bit. So super rares, in my opinion, are not worth collecting. They really only are valuable to the players. You're going to get like 6 to 7 of those per booster box. And so you're going to get a lot of them in a case. And they're really only helpful to the players. If you really like the art, you can obviously collect it. Hey, you be you. But they don't hold value long term. Most super rares tend to be very cheap, less than $10, less than $5 over time. And they don't tend to hold long-term value. Secret rares, you know, can have some value, but again, as I showed you, the most value that they'll have is really their alternate art version and not always necessarily their secret version. So that's something to consider. So when it comes to collecting, I also don't really focus on the secret rares. There's a couple really cool ones, and I wouldn't mind this alternate art version, but it's nothing that I have to have personally. Then you have your special rares. Those are going to be your SPs, right? So your special rares, I highly recommend collecting special rares. They are fantastic to collect. And if it's a popular character, they seem to hold value and really go up in pricing. A great example of this is this Nami from OP09, probably one of the most expensive SPs. I mean, we do have some exceptions with the new heroine set, some of those SPs being more, but this SP from OP09 Nami has a really, really strong value and is pretty expensive. I mean, once you get out of the Japanese version here, you can see that it's, you know, over $900 raw just for this SP. So you can only get 2 per case. You have to get 12 booster boxes. You have to go through all 12 of them just to see if you get, you know, what 2 you got. And if you don't even like those 2, then you have to open another case. Very expensive. So that is why they're going to hold value, because of their rarity, and especially if they're a popular character like Nami here. Then you also, of course, have your SSPs and your mangas that we mentioned. So when you're looking at your SSPs and your mangas here, so you got like your SSP and your manga, you know, those are obviously going to be your chases in every single set, and they're really going to be the goats of that set. So I would really focus on these if you have the financial ability to do so. They're very expensive, but I have a feeling that they are going to have the most value based on their incredible rarity long term. With that, based on your specific budget, I would focus on what works best for you. If you are budget focused, try some other things like promos, the alternate arts, or some cheaper winter event cards and things from tournaments that will be a little bit cheaper and can still have some rarity and popularity to them, and may be really nice to collect. Look at buyer history and trends, or collect from whatever catches your eye. Go through TCG Player, eBay, price charting, and go through these sites and look through recent sold and look at long-term history and see if this is something that is going up or going down or is holding value. As the old saying goes, buy on the dip and sell on the high if that's what you want to do, but I would be cautious to buy on a high point. If you are a medium spender, I would focus on buying SPs. Their rarity will likely hold good value long term, and there's the good rule of thumb that SPs, as long as they're a popular character, it's probably going to be a worthwhile card long term. So highly recommend, if you're about a medium spender, to buy SPs. If you are a big spender, as we've mentioned, go for those SSPs or those mangas, the ultimate chase hits. Just be cautious because they do range wildly in pricing. So look to see if that's going to be something that's going to fit your budget. And try again not to buy in the high, buy in the lower end. When looking at sets, if you can afford it, collect anniversary sets. So this is going to be sealed. So if you're looking to collect something sealed, I highly recommend the anniversary sets. As you can see here, you have OP05 at $1,000. That is because it has a signature Luffy card in it that's worth 15, 20 grand or something like that. It's a very expensive card. And also the fact that it's just an anniversary set, it's got Luffy on it, it's an amazing, you know, artwork on it, and it's just a huge collector piece. So if you're going to buy sealed and you have the budget for it, I would look at something like OP05. If you're looking for something a little bit cheaper that's also an anniversary set, OP09 is the second anniversary set and is a really good set as well that has that gold D Roger I showed you over here, worth many, many thousands of dollars. So that can be something really good to look at. And then, of course, most recently, we've had the OP13, which is also going to run you about $500 a box. That is another anniversary set here. It's really arguably the third anniversary set. And that's going to yield you some really great value as well, I think, long term. They are going to be doing some reprinting on this soon. So, and that's why we saw prices come down a little bit. You can wait it out and see if maybe prices will come down, or if you can decide to just stick it out and buy it now. But either way, I think this set's going to be a great set, even if you're watching this video years down the road. And if you can pick this up at a great price, this is still going to be a great set. Then you have OP11. This is also another one that I recommend. That is where you got that SSP Luffy over here that I showed you. That's where this card comes out of. So this is a really good set as well, and has some really nice chase cards in it that I think have some really strong value. So those are just some things that I would think about when it comes to sealed product, if you decide that you want to focus on the sealed product instead. It's also noteworthy to mention that OP14 EBO4 has a good price of a couple $100 right now, and PRB2 at a few $100 is a decent price for what it offers in its set as well. So those might be some other sets to look at. And then even the most recent one, EBO3, the Heroine set, even though we have a reprint coming, it's not going to be a big one. And they're only going to do it one more that we know of, as opposed to their usual one print of a special set in the EB series. So I think that that is still a box worth picking up that's going to hold long-term value. So something to consider. In addition, if the English prices are a little bit much for you, then I would recommend looking at Japanese. Japanese is the original language of the One Piece TCG, and that's kind of a cool thing to have. And you can get booster boxes and cards at a much cheaper price and still collect and have fun, whether it be sealed or singles. Which kind of gets us into our next point. What is better, sealed or singles? Well, I would argue that sealed tends to show better market stability overall from what we've seen. Not a guarantee, but you're probably going to have better stability with sealed. However, there can be big swings in value on single cards, good and bad. It's important not to get FOMO, and I would just focus on buying what you like. If you prefer sealed, I would focus on more stable pricing and value with less downs. So look at the trend history, see what's been more stable for the longest, and maybe invest into that if that's what you want to do. That may be something more worth collecting than something that's had big ups and downs recently. So that may be for you. If you like to grade cards, then obviously you want to focus on singles and slabs, potentially. If that is what you like to see singles and slabs, and you like to host them up into your room, then obviously singles is going to be a better option for you. It's fine if it's not graded, and it's important to note that the higher priced cards from higher priced grading companies like PSA do generate higher grading. The higher the pricing is on it, the more it is going to be to grade that card. So keep that in mind when you're looking at your budget, and add that into your overall budget of the cost that it costs to get these slabs as well. It may be fun though, seeing a card that you love and collected to go up in price and sit in a nice slab, because I know I've got a few of them like that, and it is a ton of fun, and I get really, really excited seeing that card go up in value. It's just a really good feeling, and it makes you feel like you actually made a good decision. Ultimately, find what suits your needs and what fits your collecting journey. Now, should you grade or not grade? And if so, with who? Well, there are several companies to grade with. From what I see / my knowledge, PSA is still kind of sort of the king. It seems PSA slabs sell the best overall, so if your goal is to sell one day, it may be best to go with PSA because they seem to have the best stability. PSA also tends to be less strict on grading, so that may be an advantage to you if you feel like your card is slightly off-centered, or you may not get a 10 with someone else, but you may get it with PSA. So something to consider if you're looking at the card. Really do some research and see if the centering, there's no scratching, obviously no big things like denting or anything like that, and that's going to help you understand where you probably should grade. If it has minor imperfections, then it may be best to go with PSA because you're most likely going to get higher rating with them. It's a risk overall though, so just be careful and consider what you decide to grade with. Beckett, also, who is now owned by PSA, does have really great slabs, and they offer a black label feature, which is basically an absolutely perfect card, but they are very strict. So if you try to send them to them, I would probably focus on sending cards to Beckett if you think they're going to get a black label, because Beckett does hold higher value black label wise than PSA Gem Mint 10. So if you think something will be black label, then I would recommend trying to send it to Beckett. If you don't think it's going to get a black label because maybe it has a minor imperfection, slightly off-centered, something along those lines, then I would probably send to PSA if you're willing to pay the upcharge price. Now, there are also other companies, of course. There's Tag and CCG. I personally love the look of Tag, but they do generate less value due to their overall popularity. CCG also kind of similar boat and situation, although I do like the look of tag better than CCG personally. I think, however, the top 3 tend to mostly be PSA, Beckett, and tag from what I see a lot of eBay sales and what people are posting. Now, my personal recommendation is to send a PSA, like I said previously, unless you think that it's going to grade really well. If you're trying to avoid upcharges, then maybe you just want to go straight to Beckett, or you maybe even tag, because they don't offer quite as big upcharge that I'm aware of on anything, if at all. If your goal is not to sell and you just want to keep it for a look, then I might go tag, because tag does have beautiful slabs. I really like them. So if your goal isn't to sell down the road and you don't really care that much about, you know, PS Gem Mint 10 quite as much, then tag may be for you. So take a look at all the companies and look at their pricing and see what's going to fit your situation the best. And just keep in mind that PSA does do upcharging if the card is expensive for insurance, and by hundreds and sometimes thousands of dollars. So really do your research on it and make sure that that's what you want to do. Now, in conclusion, collecting can be fun, exciting, and a lot of work. I really have a ton of fun with collecting, and I've enjoyed it immensely. However, it is up and down, up and down. So you got to take the downs with the up, and you have to be willing to accept that. If you're really just in it for the collecting long term, pricing shouldn't really matter to you. But if you're in it for the short term, then, you know, obviously the ups and downs are going to be a lot bigger for you. So you're really going to have to do a lot more research, and you're going to have to be on top of things quite frequently. But for someone like me who's just collecting long term, I'm not really worried too much if stuff goes up and down, because I'm in the One Piece TCG for the long term and really believe in the IP. So ultimately, I think no matter what you collect, you're probably going to be in a good spot long term, as long as you didn't spend some egregious amount of money for a card that was clearly way overpriced. With that said, just have fun, love the art, enjoy it, and make the best of it. In the end, it's a hobby, and like any hobby, it shouldn't consume you or your wallet. Find what budget you have, always try to buy boxes close to MSRP for sealed, and don't spend way over your money on eBay or something like that in a crazy auction trying to out-auction people. Just look at the sales pricing. If something goes over an auction price on it and there's other options out there, don't do it. I've seen a lot of people on eBay that are in auctions that are hundreds of dollars over, like multiple cards on TCG Player and eBay, that are the same card, same condition, but for cheaper, but people are getting in a bid war. That's something I would be very cautious of. But really find what value you think is best for you. And at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter though, right? Because if you love it and you want to spend over on money, hey, power to you. If that's what you want to do, then that's what you want to do. It's not a big deal, because probably long term, you're going to get that money back most likely anyways. As long as nothing crazy happens with One Piece TCG, then eventually you'll get to that break even and even in positive. So just ride out the wave and, you know, just wait it out. And the end of the day, I'm just the guy with the mic and a recording device. So find what works best for you. You know, whatever bit of advice my advice may help you with, great. You know, hopefully you learned something from this, got a little bit of information. It's making you think a little bit more about what you want to do with your collecting journey. I'd be curious what you are focused on. What are you collecting? Let me know down in the comments. What set are you trying to collect? What single are you trying to collect? And do you have any tips or tricks for where you go? I've heard things like Facebook Marketplace and some other things like that where you can do, you know, easy transactions face to face. You know what you're getting. But just be safe if you're doing anything like that. You know, there's always risks with that, right? So again, always do your research, always be safe, and, you know, just have fun at the end of the day. For me, I just go on eBay, I go TCG Player, and I go to my LGS, and that's where I collect my cards. So maybe that works for you too, or maybe you have some other tip or trick. Let me know in the comments about what you're doing and what you're collecting and how you're going about it. Thanks again all for tuning in, and Again, hope any of that helps you, and happy collecting, you pirates. See you later.